Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to do a little Beethoven cleanup. We're talking about Beethoven's songs. Now, Beethoven was primarily a composer of instrumental music, that is, chamber and orchestral works and piano works, and that was really anomalous in Beethoven's day. Most composers, or a lot of composers, let's put it that way, were primarily composers of vocal works. Of course, they wanted to write operas, but they wrote oratorios and sacred music and, of course, songs. Even some of the most famous composers for their instrumental works were actually primarily writers of music for the voice. Brahms, for example, who wrote hundreds of songs that not many people care about, except for the lullaby or maybe the four serious songs or something like that. But the truth is that the highest goal of music for most of Western civilization has been the writing of vocal music. And composers who wrote other things, Haydn was one, for example, and Beethoven, not Mozart, because he wrote the operas, they really wished that they were better known for their vocal works. Haydn kind of made up for it because he wrote the two great oratorios and a fabulous raft of liturgical music and some great songs. Well, Beethoven wrote some great songs too, but they weren't a major part of his output. And let's face it, Beethoven was known for expanding the bounds of what music could be into the cosmic empyrean of transmogrified, spiritual, whatever the hell you want to call it. I give up. Look, the bottom line is that a song is a song, right? It's a verse, it's a refrain. Usually it can be through composed, it can have a couple other forms, but it's a little lyric on words that are usually about love, lack of love, desire for love, something like that. And Beethoven's songs aren't exactly like, I want you, babe, do me, babe, that sort of thing, but they're close. I mean, a lot of them are anyway, because that's what songs do. And so they didn't give Beethoven the scope to enlarge the range of what the medium could be, because the medium, by definition, is miniature. And Beethoven was a wonderful writer of miniatures, what he wanted to be. I mean, consider like the bagatelles for piano that he wrote at the end of his life and whatnot. But basically, that wasn't what he did. And that's not what we value him for. And that's the point. However, there are wonderful collections of Beethoven songs, and I like this one. This is Peter Schreier with Walter Olbertz, piano, on Berlin Classics. He also did a fabulous 4-disc set of Schumann songs in the same series. Peter Schreier was just a terrific lieder singer. You may recall in my repertoire video on Schubert's Die Winterreise, Schreier was one of my final two choices because he just was the most wonderfully sensitive and thoughtful artist, and he had a lovely tenor voice, or has a lovely tenor voice. What he's doing now, I have no idea. But most people who sing these things, like the Fischer Dieskau people, they're baritones. But Schreier's tenor, and a good tenor. He's not a heroic, he's not a Helden tenor. He's a wonderful, sensitive Kammermusiksänger, chamber music singer, chamber singer, Kammersänger, whatever they call them in German, something like that. There's a German compound word for everything. You just attach all the other words and you get a big long word, and that's what it is. But that is a singer for intimate occasions, for the music room. And so these are beautiful performances, and they're 3 discs. So it gives you all of Beethoven's songs, or all the ones that matter anyway. Let's see what we get here. Shall we? First you get An die ferne Geliebte, to a distant love, to a distant beloved. This is Opus 98, so it's sort of, late middle Beethoven. And, this is Beethoven's most important contribution to the lieder genre because it's one of the very, very earliest song cycles. It predates Schubert's great song cycles by a bit, a decade or so, and it's only 14 minutes and 38 seconds long here. It consists of 6 songs, short little songs, but they're all to Beethoven's distant beloved. It's the I Want You Babe, the I Want You Babe style of German lieder. a la Beethoven. And it's an important work. It's an important work in the history of German song, and it's Beethoven's only major effort in the song realm, or, in terms of like doing something different or new or, original. Other songs in here, let's see what else we have on disc 1 here. These are all, for the most part, well, not all of them, but a lot of them are songs to poetry by Goethe. And of course, the songs are important because the poetry is important, theoretically. But as I've said many times, great poetry doesn't always make for the best songs, because great poetry has its own inner rhythm and its own mellifluousness, and it needs to be spoken out loud. And if the artist is not careful, putting it to music will only ruin what the poet so carefully constructed. Beethoven is pretty careful, so I wouldn't worry about that. So after the 6 songs of An die ferne Geliebte, we have Adelaide and Zärtliche Liebe, sweet love. Oh, it's so sweet. Yes, it's love. Der Kuss, the kiss. See where these are going? And Lied aus der Ferne, okay, song from the distance, and a bunch of other things. And one of the biggest ones is Resignation. Yeah, ooh, baby, Resignation. And finally, no, not finally, then we have, let's see, these are, those aren't good. The Lieder nach Johann Wolfgang Goethe. Here's the next batch. Let's see, the Mai-Lied May song, and Neue Liebe, Neues Leben, okay, more love stuff. Wohne der Wehmut. Oh, yes, there we go. It's misery and, stuff that the Germans do so well. Sehnsucht. Oh, Sehnsucht. Longing. Yeah, Sehnsucht. And let's see, Freudwohl und Leidwohl, which is, happiness and sorrowful all at the same time. That's also very German. Then you have his Opus 48, which is another actually significant series of songs, 6 songs after poems by Christian Gellert. Now, nobody knows or cares about Gellert these days as a poet particularly, but in his day, in the mid 18th century, Gellert was possibly the major poet of German spiritual poetry, religious poetry, primarily religious texts. He was C.P.E. Bach's principal poet. C.P.E. Bach was a major innovator in the history of the German song, the Lied, and a lot of his songs were to texts by Gellert. And everybody who was German in those days, who was vaguely Christian, and even those who weren't, had a volume of Gellert's poetry in their library. That's what you used to do in those days before they had like TV and radio and interesting things. You would like sit around after dinner and someone would take out a book and they would read aloud German sanctimonious spiritual poetry. Doesn't that sound like fun? But this is his Opus 48. If it was published with an opus number, then it was a big deal because Beethoven had to sell it to somebody and someone had to be willing to pay for it. So the Gellert Lieder are also significant. We don't have to go through them in detail. Then we've got some like sort of songs grouped by ideas here. We have Scherzlieder, which is humorous songs, joking songs, and they're quite delicious. You get like, from Goethe's Faust, the song of the flea, and some other goodies like that. And then we've got 4 ariettes, little arias, and 1 duet with Italian text. So we need to have an extra soprano here. Adele Stolta, there she is, doing her thing. Those are delightful. They're really, really delightful. And they're based on Italian texts, and they're sort of, they have German names, and some of them are in Italian, and they're the way Germans sort of handled Italian, which was, gingerly. It's a little bit, Mozart, of course, was always the exception because he was as Italian as he was German. But then Salzburg's right up there, like, sort of near the border. Anyway, there you go. And so we've got these adorable Italian settings. There's some other Italian settings. And a French setting, plaisir. Yes, plaisir d'aimer. Yeah, it's in French. Oh, boy. And then we have serious Lieder. Serious. Most of these are without opus. They're W-O-O, woo. Werke ohne Opuszahl. That's work without opus number, because Beethoven didn't care about them. He just sort of tossed them off. But some of them are lovely. And the serious, das Geheimnis, ooh, the secret. Yes, oh my goodness. And then we've got, let's see, here's, to Laura, that's pretty. Klage, complaint. the old Klage, Elegy auf den Tod eines Pudels. Oh, yes. Look at that, the poor elegy on the death of your poodle. Isn't that sad? And so there's some other things like that. And some of them are like okay and major and in various ways. And then we've got love songs, Liebeslieder. Oh, they're all about love. Well, most of the other ones are about love too. But some of these are big songs. One of them is Seufzer eines Ungeliebten und Gegenliebe. Anyway, it's 6 minutes. It's a big song. Some of these are very big songs. An die Hoffnung, to hope. To hope, that's 8 minutes. These are major, major works. And it has an opus number. An die Hoffnung is opus 94, all by itself. And, you know if it has an opus number, that it's probably like kind of a big deal. Let me see if we have another one. Let's see. Let me find another couple good, juicy ones here. Well, that's most of all them, actually. Das Liedchen von der Ruhe. The little song of quiet, peace, quietness. What else? Oh, it's okay. The point here, frankly, let me belabor this ridiculously. This will run too long. Is that Schreier is a terrific singer. The performances are beautiful. They're very nicely recorded, and Fischer Dieskau, of course, did this repertoire, and lots of people did An die ferne Geliebte. But I actually, like I said, I like hearing a tenor voice in these songs, and it's a beautiful collection. Not expensive, and definitely worth hearing if you want to just fill out your Beethoven collection with the other stuff that he did that you're going to play once in a while. Oh, let me just check one thing. I listen to these songs. I've heard them now so many times that I pay no attention. Let me see if you get your texts and translations. I'm not sure. I really am not sure. I don't think so. Oh, you do. You get all the words. They're all in German. They're not translated, but you do get the texts. And that's actually important because, it will help you. And you can now just Google a translation. And maybe a little bizarre, but it'll get the job done. So there you go, my friends. Beethoven songs. Definitely worth hearing, especially if you are a Beethoven collector. And aren't we all? So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.